All right, you're still watching the conversation on Lagos television. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm laughing. Some kind of coup going on here. Today on the program, we'll be looking at the Nigerian economy and how we can restore the confidence of both local and international investors in our economy. We know that the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has introduced some kind of reforms, monetary and fiscal, and that is making the economy of the country to look good. And, but the question people are asking is, some of these reforms, are they strong enough to fully stabilize the economy? We know there are figures, there are data signifying that the economy of Nigeria is looking good. But when you go on the streets of the country and you ask an average Nigerian if the economy is good, they look at you like you don't know what you're saying. So this morning, we'll be looking at this particular issue from different angles. If indeed we are on track as regards restoring the confidence of investors in the Nigerian economy. We have with us this morning Olusegun Okunade, Policy Development Analyst. It's a pleasure to have you.
Yeah, good morning, Jibola, and good morning, Josh. Good morning to viewers across the globe.
Okay, so looking at our conversation this morning, restoring investors' confidence in Nigeria's economy, we have seen figures, we have seen data saying that we are on track as regard the growth of the economy, but put it side by side with what an average Nigerian is going through. Would you say that some of these reforms, which are the major ones that you can really identify, that is showing you that we are indeed on track as regards the development of our economy, contrary to the impression out there on the streets of Nigeria?
Okay, thank you very much. Like you said in your prologue, it's something that's a bit difficult for you to come on the street of Nigeria and tell an average person that things are looking better. I actually engaged someone and he said, sir, I listened to you and there's some expertise, and they said we should take 1 egg per day. Sir, years back, not too long, a crate of egg was 800. How much is it now? I answered myself 6,500. He said, sir, how do you expect us? How much of that do I buy to make those things happen? Sincerely speaking, it seems not to be reflecting the way it is, but there are certain things we must give kudos to the government that they are actually doing. Part of the problem we are faced before now is inconsistency with our policies. And I think we have this administration taking the bull by the horn to see how they can integrate those private sector people into the public space and have the right policies for us to have it with. They did not just stop there. Mr. President gave part of his terms of reference to them is, don't just give me the policies. Be and part of the people that will actually implement these policies. So, you know, part of the issues we've always been faced with is some people will actually bring out the policy. It's always good on paper. When it comes to implementation, they transfer the buck that those people that are actually to implement the policy do not understand the basis of what are actually there in the policy. But Mr. President has been able to bridge the gap to say, fine, you give us the policy, you will monitor the implementation because you understand it better. And I think that's actually a plus to some of the areas where we've seen as gap when it comes to the area of inconsistency with our policy, most especially when it comes to implementation. Let me start from an area where it's actually been the talk of the town, our fiscal policy under the chairmanship of Taiwo Yedele. We've seen certain things being put together. A lot of people most of the time talk to the area of taxation, but it's beyond taxation. It's about the revenue generation for the government. And part of the areas which sound very interesting to me as an individual is streamlining the area of taxes, levies, where we've had duplication and multiplicity of it. It's really interesting, and I'm sure it's not far from you because you're always in the business space, that so many agencies charge the same levies and at times tariff with just different nomenclature. Mm-hmm. And that on its own impacts on business survival. when you are supposed to play this, somebody is coming that this particular fee is this name. The same fee is being charged by another agency. And this committee has been able to streamline to say, we are consolidating all revenue generating agency for the government under what we call Nigerian Revenue Services. So no more FRS, no more MPA, no more customs, no more everyone. They will be directorate. So the Nigerian Revenue Services will actually be dealing out some of those tariffs. And do you know what this will impose on business owners? The confidence to say, I'm able to know these are my obligation to the government. The specific number that we have to say. So when I'm going to import, this is what I'm going to do. When I'm going to do business locally, when I'm going to engage this certain set of agency, these are the specific numbers of, levies, tariffs, tax that I'm going to pay. Two,
as against the multiple that we used to have. So I think what Taiwo Idele said in part of his submission is streamlining from 63 different taxes and levies that we have in tariffs to see how they can make it single digits. Whether they are going to consolidate it and maybe increase some. What we want is that be specific. Do you know it's difficult for an average businessman? You are just walking on the street. You just say to this agency, the next minute, another set of people are coming. They say they want to come and carry out audit. You have a lot of money. Diversionary way of just distracting business owner. This I have counted as a plus for us to even woo those foreign investors that wants to come and say, okay, now, I think things are actually coming the right way it should be. In one of the presentations by Taiwo Idele, he actually said, do you know one of the celebrity, I don't want to give, one of the organization we all celebrate so much in the fit tech industry is being owned by Nigerians, doing great well. But do you know their HQ is not in Nigeria because of the inconsistency in our policies? And Taiwo Idele was addressing us to say he's already engaging them to say, bring your HQ here. Do you know what that will attract? We're going to have employment because there is no how you have your HQ here. Definitely you build your head office. It will create a business opportunity for those in the construction agency. When you actually set up that organization, you want to recruit people there. You will even reduce the cost of logistics on the part of your management team that want to travel to the HQ to have engagement all the time. So the effects are multiple.
Quite multiple. And the first area which I feel this administration is addressing is to have uniformity in our policy and be consistent with it. That will give a very bold confidence to say, as a business owner, these are areas I need to address. They are even saying that, and I think they borrowed the leaf from the success story of FIRS. You know, when FIRS automated their system with the Tax Pro Max, they saw the quantum leap. Because at that point in time, you remove the interference of human.
Yeah.
It is the system. I've seen instances where before now, people will tell you that your liability is due for a specific period. When you don't pay, we start engaging ourselves. Now, do you know what happened? You talk to the system. When you're supposed to pay your fee 30th or 31st of March, and if all due, you are not paying. It's not about Josh or about you that is actually penalizing. It's the system that automatically generates those penalties for you.
Because of the automation.
Of the automation system we've seen. So you see a lot of people complying. Because it's no longer negotiation. I can come to you and say, okay, well, I've defaulted.
Let me just pay something.
Let me pay something and get this thing done.
Let's get the conversation to another level, because restoring investors' confidence is a function of the policies in the first place, whether monetary or fiscal policy. But we know what the present administration has done in terms of the regularization of the Naira, making sure that it's working, it's flowing, letting the Naira just flow, fight its own course all by itself. And of course, the removal of the fuel subsidy in itself. But of course, so many people have talked about the ease of doing business. And of course, we've seen more of Nigerians investing in the Nigerian Stock Exchange as against the FDIs, foreign direct investment, and FPIs, the foreign portfolios in the country. How do we begin to change the direction? Because oftentimes the oil sector gets investment, but the non-oil sector, we don't get to see much from that side. I'm talking about the real sector of the economy. What's missing here?
Yeah, I think the missing gap is we ask ourselves this question: do we even believe in some of the things we do locally? And that has given rise to access to some of these raw materials. You're saying the oil sector, everybody understand the peculiarity of oil, how you can have it seems structured. And I'll put it across to you. The way you regulate the petroleum sector, you have the PIA that guides their operation. What are actually policies that guide the agricultural sector, the telco sector, the fintech, the banking? How much are we actually working in line to make sure that those things actually come to bear? I will say this, and without any fear or favor, to say our civil servant has a lot of things to do. And what do I mean? Policy comes from the government for the private sector to make use of. How much knowledge do some of these civil servants acquire for themselves to actually give direction to the private sector? How much are they intentional about seeing through some of the policy they created themselves without actually circumventing it? I will tell everyone that care to listen that when you come to the agricultural sector, it's we've spoken so much about mechanization. How much of it have we actually brought to bear to see the operational aspect of that mechanization we are saying? I'll tell everyone that care to listen. In the northern region, we talked about insecurity affecting food production, creating food scarcity. Is it only in the northern region that we have vast land? What intentional act are the state governments in areas where they observe that they have this land are doing? I will give kudos to my governor in Lagos State. He understands the peculiarity of our state. He understands that we don't have the land. But we have the investment to say, I can invest in you to develop certain things in your state and bring those things because I know I can consume and commercialize that area to make those things happen. We saw that happen during Nambode too. He invested in Kebbi to have lake rice. They have the land. And what we're saying is that, can we start talking to have handshake between the governor? What's your strength? What area can I capitalize on? That's area where we talk about synergy. I have the land. You have the resources. How can you move people to attract them to my state and develop those areas that I have? In area of agriculture, I know people will say, we want to invest in this, but insecurity is the area where we want to see. And a lot of us have spoken to the government. Can we decentralize this area of security? It is not working as far as some of us are concerned. Can we give responsibility to the state and let people hold them accountable with what goes on? Lagos seems a bit secured. Why would I say this? Aside that we have the RRS working in our favor, we have the neighborhood watch. The governor have moved to say we have trust fund, security trust fund, where the private sector can partner with us to see how we can empower some of our personnel in Lagos State. And we can hold them accountable to say, Mr. Governor, this is happening in this area. When the regular police are not there, the RRS are there. When the RRS are not there, the neighborhood watch are there to give information, to act swiftly. And that's what we're saying, decentralize the security architecture. Let's hold the governor. A lot of people will say, politician, we hijacked it. Can we do something differently? If there is unrest in the north, in a particular state, what you'll be telling people is that, yeah, it's not good for business, don't come. So I want to look for safe haven where I can go and invest my money, because security play a key role for the survival of any business and any growth in area that we want to speak to.
Okay, as much as we have good figures, Josh cited the stability in the forex market the other time, and you also quoted what Mr. Taiwo Oyedele said, and the new tax law that we have. These are indices that we are beginning to get things right. But you just pointed out at security, which is very, very important. That is what will give confidence to any investor bringing their money into the country, that indeed, if I invest in this particular side of the world, I'm going to recoup my investment on time without any harassment from anybody. So regarding the security of lives and property, which can give confidence to our investors, we are not really there yet. I know Rome was not built in a day. So what are those elements that government should put in place to ensure that in terms of security, we get it right, so that those investors who are still skeptical, whether local or international, who have the full confidence that indeed, if I come into Nigeria, I can actually invest fully and recoup my investment?
This I want to say might sound unpopular, but let me consider it as my personal opinion, and I know a lot of people has actually gone that route. Our consequential management is very, very poor in terms of this security that we are actually talking about. I asked myself the question, and I've said it times with that number: how can somebody be bold enough to create unrest, kill people, and we're saying that it's actually repenting? Pardon me, in my fault, repentance is of the Lord and not of human. If you have killed by the sword, we can reduce the number of those that want to go into that venture by making sure that we remove you two on planet Earth. People will say that is actually too harsh. But what measure are we actually putting in place? A lot of places where people have been displaced, where the military forces have put a lot of effort to curb the menace of these terrorists and all these people causing unrest, you see to your face some of them coming to attack back again, reintegrated back into the system. Some will say they are repentant Boko Haram, the repentant terrorists. And I always tell people, have you seen instances where somebody who engaged in prostitution will tell you that he has converted? Give him little space to be with a man, he will sweep him off his feet. Information is key. Some of these people may no longer carry arms, but they are still connected with the base providing information. And that is very critical. A lot of time I've said it. If we have some of these people that allude to the fact that they've actually, been part of this art of creating unrest, whether as informant, let's give the consequence. Deal with them, take them off. That will serve as deterrent to say it is no longer child's play. But those that were actually being internally displaced, that are supposed to be carrying out their normal business in the farm, still watch some of these people using government money, taxpayers' money, being reintegrated back into the system. Things cannot work. I can tell you that even the military are really not too happy about some of these things. I heard then when the Chief of Defense Staff was with the National Assembly, laying claim that we must readdress this issue. And I think we must address this issue from a different way, different perspective, to make sure there are consequences. If you pick a robber today, an armed robber, that confesses that he has actually been stolen, what do? You say you want to forgive him, that his sins are forgiven. All you need to do is to have consequence. If you are going to send him to jail for a specific month, to go and have reorientation. Maybe while he's there, he might have a rethink and this that I've done in quite a... Not that you just feel that, okay, we put 100 of them together, they said they've laid their arms, they want to come, let's reintegrate them back into this with the taxpayers' money, knowing fully well that those that are actually displaced are still there. So the military men that are actually watching them are seeing them being coming back. We can't continue in that route.
So providing, I'm sorry to cut you short, providing adequate security is a major element of restoring confidence in our economy.
Correct.
Is that what you're implying?
Correct. Every secured environment is a prosperous environment. Why are we talking that Lagos is a reference point today? If there is unrest in Lagos State, that you and I cannot come to our place of work, do you think that we'll be getting those values that we are getting as we speak? If you have to think twice before I leave my place of residence and you are invited and saying, Jibola, I doubt if I can make it down. Do you know that if I pass through this place, people might attack me? Nobody will want to come out. But in Lagos, people, even though we can still claim that we can improve on it, a lot of areas you can see security personnel, even at night. It gives you that confidence to say, okay, I can go out, do night shift, and come back to my house at the time at which I feel I want to come into. A secured environment is a prosperous environment. If we don't address security, I've had opportunity to engage those are there. If security is not addressed critically, some of the policies that we are putting in place may not work.
Okay, I just want to speak to, because the security challenge is a dampener actually. But of course, we are seeing like a peak in Nigerians confidence in investing in Nigeria. We've seen the Nigerian Stock Exchange peak at the highest, record high, as at 2024. We did a record high. Even in 2025, Nigeria has hit a major standard. It's a standout here. That's what it's called. The all share index reached a historic peak. Now, of course, also last year we had our first surplus in years. As far as that means, what we export was much more than what we imported. That was a fantastic one. However, we seem to have more Nigerians investing in Nigerian Stock Exchange, but we aren't seeing more of those foreign portfolios in terms of investors. Considering that we've done well with removing the bottleneck, we can see that we've done well with the reformation of the tax, which will kick in January 2025.
2026.
2026,
yeah.
2026 rather. And of course, we've removed the foreign exchange differentials that make us very unpredictable, and as well as
that makes some people cash out.
Exactly, making money. What else can we do to make Nigerians believe in the economy? Because, or better still, all those foreign portfolios, our remittances has also dropped as well, foreign remittances. So what can we do to get this ramp up, especially those foreign portfolio, because they are bringing foreign currency? Yeah,
you see, first and foremost, I think we need to address this issue with those handlers of our economy, to see how we domesticate some of the things. You roll out Nigeria Stock Exchange market. You ask, how much are we investing in production? And I understand the pain of an average businessman when it comes to the area of production. We are not competitive when compared with some of these imported goods, even with the high rate of foreign exchange. Because when you look at those other climates, the basic element that make businesses to grow are actually at a very minimal cost. One of the highlights I will give to you is the area of power. If you look at power, it's critical to the survival of every business organization. If you ask your management here, let's take it off that we are actually a government agency, they will tell you that the major issue why they will not even consider the area of increasing personnel cost is because the energy cost is huge. And that is an area I feel government need to address. There is need for government to address this energy cost if we must. You see, it's not about service-oriented growth that we'll be talking about. Production plays a key role. We have a lot of raw materials here in our country that we can work on and develop it to make it much more better. I will always refer to the Southeasterners that look at some of the clothings, the wares that they produce. But when you juxtapose the cost of production vis-a-vis somebody producing it from Asia and importing it here, our cost is far higher because of the basic element of those cost of production. When you come to human capital, it's relatively cheap because we have it so many. A lot of people are out there. Just jump on certain set of people, they are ready to work for you. But we must critically examine the area of energy. It's germane. A lot of organizations are leaving us, going to neighboring countries because they consider that energy cost is relatively cheaper there. A lot of people want energy. I'm sure the Jibola will be on band A because you know the class of people.
Yeah, he's on band A.
He can't be on band B because that would be you are actually cheating a big man.
Big man, exactly.
But you know, for a lot of us that might find it difficult to afford that thing. When you take us to band B as a business person, we are not getting the relative supply that is needed. A lot of people on band A are already complaining that the cost is becoming unbearable. You know, even for production. And that is a critical area I want Mr. President to actually look at. We've been talking about subsidizing it. How further can we do this? Because if the energy cost is reduced, alternative is not even easier to come by. If you want to buy diesel or you even want to buy petrol, they are not cheap to come by. When you go to renewables, I'm sure you know, absorbing those things in, they are not easy to come by. Government should look at how they can actually intervene to make sure that they give a leveler in such a way. Part of the things that I will said is that by the time we implement the new fiscal policy that's actually being put across to us, a lot of these things will come to like 50%. I'm actually waiting to the day that I can get back to get fuel at maybe at a reduced price of 300, 400, when the power supply, even at band A that I belong to, I can pay less than 70 naira. I can tell you that things on its own will fall in shape. A lot of people will invest more in that part because as we speak, most organizations are struggling because of the overhead cost, which is becoming unbearable.
Because of power.
Yeah.
Okay. Aside from the problem of power, part of those reforms that people have also commended about this administration is the Nigeria First policy. The way and manner it has been driven, the use to it bringing confidence to those who might want to invest in some of the raw materials that we have here in such a way that those things that we do import will be limited, and of course we have more level of engagement when it comes to raw materials right here in Nigeria.
Yeah, I believe we can do better, and the handlers of Mr. President need to promote more some of this area. If you say think Nigeria, buy Nigeria, do everything Nigeria, how many of it do we have in the public space? I've come with a proposition, and I tell individual that this that both of us are, two of you are wearing, is imported. We make some of these things locally. How can we start addressing issue to promote what we have within ourselves, to make sure that we give room for the... Gone are those days when textile industry in this country gives a lot of revenue to the government. But as we speak, it's more imported than produced locally. And it's because a lot of us are not even patronizing it. But kudos to the inventor organizers these days. At least, despite that there are so much, we don't have so much money in circulation, the Ashwebi is still promoting, and we can have a lot of this too. I think we can go the route of the Asians, promote some of the things that we can make ourselves domestically, and see how we can encourage people to go. A lot of our young generation, they have ideas. They want to promote some of these things. But when they see that some of those things they intend to promote are not actually being given attention to in the country, I want to see a situation where when Nigerians, and I think Mr. President does that a lot, which is a kudos. He goes to international scene, and you don't see him wearing suits. And I want to say that's a kudos on our path. We are a cultural person who believes in our own. Let's start promoting it. Let's wear this Ankara thing that we produce locally, and other fabrics that can be produced. That will give incentive to some of those people producing it, and even some of the suits that we have when you go to Aba. When these people, and you know, it's quite interesting. A lot of my friends will tell you that, do you know that some of those suits you are saying international labels in actually manufactured here? But because a lot of us don't believe in their product, they put those foreign labels because that's what you want to see. Can we build confidence as followers and promote those things? While some of these phones started,
what about the leaders?
It will start from them. It was, the last, I think the last two administrations.
Look at the vehicles purchased by members of the National Assembly. We have Innocent, we have Nerd, we have some other vehicle manufacturing plants in Nigeria here. But instead of buying here, they chose to buy abroad. And
that's why you see, I want to encourage this area of regionalization. Kudos to my governor. I'm sure you know most of our vehicles in Lagos is either GAC or this locally assembled, and the partners with this organization to see how they can do more of that production in the country as we have in here. So I will always say kudos to him. If the national are not following suit, regions should see how, because what that will do is it will attract more investors to your states. You have the enabling environment, you are promoting what they are producing. So it shouldn't be area of automobiles alone. If we delve into other areas of production, and people are saying that Mr. Governor is leading, then other governors will emulate with some of the things. We should relate less with some of these centers, because most of the time is do what I say, not what I do. And we've asked them, lead by example. Okay. We remember in this country when they say we should eat cassava bread. How much of it are they promoting at the center? Where is the cassava bread today? It has come and gone. But that would have actually increased our production.
No, Jonathan.
No, it was Jonathan. But that would have increased our production in agriculture. You know, at the initial stage, it might sound weird. People might say, cassava bread. But by the time you consume it the first time, second time, your taste bud will just adjust to it. And you just say, Josh, have you tasted cassava bread? It's very sweet too. And you start promoting that. But because our leader is just about paperwork, not what they themselves will implement, and that is the gap we are faced with. Don't say do what I do. It's do what I do and not what I say.
Okay.
And we can move further and move much more better as a nation.
The whole conversation about restoring investors' confidence sometimes baffles me, because you have in this country, you have very daredevil investors. You have somebody like the Dangotes of this world, the Boas of this world, the Nods of this world, the IVM of this world, Innocent of this world. They, despite the challenges, have decided to put their hearts into the ring to invest massively. Huge investment we're talking about here. How do we get some people to know that, look, it's not all beds of roses? Because if you go to other climes as well, you know what Donald Trump is doing with the trade war. He just signed an agreement with the European countries just 2 days ago, and he's even giving them deadline that if you don't sign with me now, I'm doing this. Is that it's 30% across broad in Europe, but thank God they've signed an agreement to that effect. China is a hub for production, and he wants the trade policy that makes America first. That's the thing. But American companies go there because it is cheaper.
Cheaper, the labor.
Is there a way we can make sure that in our own place we have hubs here that will make manufacturing easy? Because even the Ankara that you're talking about, not all Ankaras are made in Nigeria.
Of course.
Ankaras that we know are imported as well.
Even Adire.
Even Adire. And it's disheartening that most of the time these Asian countries steal those ideas because they have the enabling environment.
So what kind of enabling environment do we need to have? Because we're doing something, and that's why I started with the government part, because they are putting in policies now. So what do we need to do to make sure we have hubs, or better still, clusters, where people can come in, do what they want to do? I know there's a particular company in Lagos here. I think it's from Lagos State Ministry of Women Affairs or Commerce and Industry. They have a hub where you only need to do like maybe 100 naira. You can sew whatever you want to sew for the whole day. Can we have clusters like that will make investors get encouraged to invest, or be the daredevil like the Dangotes of this world?
Yeah, the part you have actually said is areas which I feel when we talked about subsidy, government should see how to integrate into. When you have an hub, and this issue of cost we're actually talking of is actually being shouldered, and somebody is out there to actually make some of those things. You see, one thing I always give credit to about with Nigeria is our creativity. It's just the environment. When you see a lot of things happening outside the shore of this country, you ask yourself, is it the same Nigerian we're actually talking about that is doing this exploit out there? What makes the difference? The environment is there for that person to exhibit the God's given talent, and that's what we lack in our country here. I will continue to say that government needs to be intentional. You've seen the area you're actually speaking of when it comes to the likes of Dangote, Boa, investing in the country. I'm sure you know that even Dangote is still struggling.
Of this world.
He's still struggling.
And he was almost frustrated.
Thank God for the intervention of Mr. President to even say, okay, we'll sell crude to you. Till now, some people are still intentional, because part of the problem we are faced with is the patriotism that we used to have because of our loss of value is no longer there. What everybody is after is, what money can I quickly make of every opportunity that comes my way. It is not about what am I going to give to my country, Nigeria. It's about the fast money, and that's why you ask yourself, with what Dangote have said, a lot of people have criticized this. Why are you encouraging monopoly? I say, well, I don't understand what you mean by monopoly. Somebody sat down, look at the risk implication of that particular business, venture into it, not looking at the risks and said, I will forge ahead. Now he's making an headway, he says he's monopolizing it. Why don't you on your own too go the same route and monopolize the business? Somebody should take the lead and say, okay, this that this man has taken, he has given us the leeway. We've seen the successes he has achieved. I'm going to emulate and see what I can do and be a competitor to him to break that monopoly. Rather than saying that, no, we cannot encourage him. So the only way to compete with that monopoly is to import product. It's not patriotic. And I feel Mr. President needs to take the bull by the horn. We should start punishing people. If you must compete with local content, it must be local content. You must not be bringing a foreign product to compete with our own local product. Because when you give that enabling environment to make sure that, okay, if Dangote observed now, because I know that Boatu is coming up with his own refinery, even if it's not going to be in the quantum of what Dangote, what that is saying is that if Boa is able to compete, he may not have it globally, but he will concentrate in a region. Somebody can come from the south too and say, I want to create this niche. From the south, somebody can develop a refinery. What we'll now do is that we have more supply, which we obey the basic economic law.
Law of demand supply.
Once you have more supply in circulation and your demand is small, the price will automatically crash. Remember when this phone you and I are carrying up and down first came, I'm sure you know the cost at which you got one particular phone.
And then it was per minute. It was per minute.
People said per second cannot work. I remember the first phone I used them before I moved
Mine was
to
Sajem.
It was Sajem too, with that
Sajem,
antenna.
yes.
And I know the amount at which I got it at that particular time. But you know, when other people came in, there was competition. And our local man, the local indigenous company, came on board to say, no, per seconds is achievable. It broke the bar. When people talked about monopoly, I said the only way you can tell me that this monopoly can be broken is investing in. Take the same risk that man has taken and go ahead. If you can match up, congratulations to you. Because everybody wants to protect their interest. You have your proprietary as a journalist. And will you want somebody to encroach into it? Even when you are training people to be like you, there are still things that you keep to yourself as proprietary to say, this is Jibola. If it is not Jibola, it cannot be Jibola.
Yes, so
that's just it. So when you look at that area, we cannot be using foreign product to compete with the local this thing. Government must be intentional about saying that enough of this importation of product. How can we still be importing petroleum product when we have Dangote? What we can do is to say, okay, this is your monopoly, enjoy it. When you enjoy it, you give opportunity to other investors to say, no, Dango. Because let me tell you one thing I've seen about these businessmen. They have their forum at which they discuss.
Sure.
To us, they are competitors. To them, they are friends. They meet and say, oh boy, you can't be eating this alone. Which side do you want to leave for me? And before you know it, you see Toli and Lumelu. How on earth will you see $10 consolidating with Dangote? And he's saying, you can go with petrol, I will take fertilizer. That's the synergy that you start seeing happening. So Tony can come and say, Dan, I want to start this, so Dangote, which area do you want to release? So they have a way of collaborating. We look at it, and it is when government gave that act to say other people can invest. We cannot continue to encourage foreign products that are gotten in a cheaper to contest with the local production. We will not grow. Okay. And government must be intentional.
Anytime we mention government, we always look to the side of the federal government. These subnationals that we have, what can they also do now that they are getting so much money? Majority of them are not really investing in production and manufacturing. So in what way can they also come in and, of course, consolidate on some of the gains of these reforms that we have seen on the part of the federal government?
First and foremost is to look at the area of security. Every business investor, that's the first key area you want to look at. You won't want to build a structure that will take you for like a year, and on launching the building, 2 months after, somebody is setting it ablaze because they are not pleased with you or because they are not happy. How secure are subnationals? I will continue to state this, that every state in this country has natural resources that they can actually ride on to make them better and become a negotiator on the table. If you go to Ondo, we have bitumen. I've asked myself the question, how much of the roads in that state with so much blessing of bitumen are motorable? Is it about you selling those bitumen to earn money than making use of those resources
To construct
road and benefit the people that are in that area? I was in New York not too long, and I would say I give kudos to that particular state. They are looking at way in creating commercial activity. You talked about Ibon here. I was at Ibon Suits. I was at the Ibon Golf Course to attract tourism. And I said, these are things that can attract people. Very peaceful, hospitable set of people on my visit to that particular state. And I told the people that went there together, that was like, is it the first or second time of my visit to that state? And I said, I want to come again. The place is peaceful. It's attracting business venture. How much of it? I've talked about states that are very close to Lagos. In developed clime, Lagos can be the commercial hub, while some of these states that are closer to you can be residential. Do you know the gain that we have there? The organization that are building structure here in Lagos, we pay the corporate tax to the to Lagos, while the payee will be taken by some of those states. Who says that I cannot move from Ibadan to Lagos on daily basis if you have the infrastructure of rail working? A lot of people that stay out there in developed clime, the journey they embarked on daily basis is farther than you traveling from Lagos to Ilorin. And that's why we say, can the subnationals start looking for way of integrating on some of the things they consider as their strength, synergize with one another and see the best that they can explore? Want a situation where people will stay in Ibadan, reside in Ibadan, and on daily basis join the trail to Lagos and carry on their business. By 4:35, they are done, going back to their base to be with their family. It is when those infrastructure are, this is not where we want to say federal government come to our rescue. Federal government has said it that a lot of funds, and that's why I would say maybe Mr. Governor, some of the largest we are enjoying in Lagos now is investing into agriculture. He has just created a fund of 500 billion,
yeah.
You know, and say, come and tap off some of these funds and use to develop. And I know that some of those governors that were actually part of that launching can tap into it and see the best that they can make out of it.
I want to say thank you very much, Mr. Olusegun Okwade, Policy Development Analyst, for joining us this morning. I think I like the part where you talked about all investors should also take the bold step and stop complaining about monopoly. They too should just switch
into it and see,
and do it. Okay.
Pay the price of what that person who is monopolizing to us pay.
Thank you very much for joining us, because the conversation about the economy is very important. It's germane to virtually everyone. It brings life and sustenance for everyone. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere.
The views expressed on this program do not represent that of the producer, management of Lagos Television, or the Lagos State Government. They remain the perspectives of those expressing them. Thank you for staying with Lagos Television.
The Nigeria Broadcasting Awards (TMBA) is back for its second edition. Are you the voice behind the mic, the face on the screen, or the producer of that story that moved the nation? Broadcasters from Bond member stations can now submit their best work. Entries open from July 1st to July 3rd.